Okay. Welcome back. Settle down, everyone. Welcome back to advanced level design for terrible people. To kick off, who of you can tell me the 3 things that make terrible level design? Yes, you down there.
Poison swamps?
No, incorrect. It's narrowness. Anyone else? Yes, you there.
Is it unbalanced enemies?
Idiot! No, it's pointless stairs. And the last one,
Bad texture rendering?
God damn it! No! Dogs! I fucking hate dogs! God damn it!
Not you. I love you.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Random Guy Attempts to Make and Paint Stuff to a Not So Poor Level, or something to that effect. To me, the Capra Demon is one of those standout bosses with an iconic area, and I say iconic for all the wrong reasons. It's a bafflingly annoying area to fight a boss in, so I thought, why don't we make it? So what we need to do is hop back into the world of Dark Souls once again and find out what this place actually looks like in a bit more depth. Now this boss is pretty easy to fight, so for a new game plus veteran like myself, I shouldn't have any problem dealing with this dude. See? Easy. Right, let's start. We've got some thin sheets of wood here, which will be used to create the shape of the build, and it will be kind of like a landscape-shaped book nook, whatever you want to call that. And from this A4 size we have, I'm just going to trim it down a bit to make it a bit more narrow to fit that god-awful sizing of the boss area. Then I can just start drawing out the 2 walls and the floor sections to haphazardly kind of match the layout and sizing to the area in game. And there we go, an architectural layout that some well-known architect themselves would be proud of. Next, start shaping it up. So slap the ever-loving shit out of some foam to create hundreds of probably too smaller sized bricks. Then grab yourselves a little jar of stones from your inventory, pop your foam bricks in and shake it all about. Then they'll go from super straight cut bricks to some nice bashed up rocks. Now the foam is cut up, we need wood and we need sticks.
Alrighty, just need to find my pan of sticks. It's not there. Where is it? Wait, what the hell? No, that's the non-stick pan!
With a selection of nice little stirrers and sheets of balsa wood, we can just start making the little wood decals on the build. Starting off with the windows, we'll chop up some little rectangular window frames. Then with these handy little rounded sticks, we can chop off the tips to create nice little arched windows. There, 4 cute little windows. Then for the balcony that sits on this little extruded part, we'll chop up this balsa wood stick, making not 1 little banister, but 6 little banisters. And this little cutout will be our door, and we need that 3 times. So here's our little wooden collection. And just taking this hobby knife, I can cut some little wooden etchings and details in to make it look a bit more doory.
Hey, Mr. Grumpy Gills.
Jobbed. 3 doors. Now time to glue the little window frames together. Now time to glue the little balcony bits together. So I'm just going to glue on some offcuts to these wooden window arches to sort of turn them into boarded up windows. And for the iconic staircase that leads absolutely nowhere, all I'm going to do is just cut into this stack of thin sheets of foam and progressively cut each stair shorter and shorter to, you know, make stairs.
I'm always thinking one step ahead, like a carpenter that makes stairs.
And there's a staircase. Now a little plank of wood can sit up on top and we're good to go. Just to finish up the staircase, I gotta just cut out a wall that will sit at the front of the stairs. I forgot to add cute little window sills to a couple of these windows, which is a real window pane.
That is amazingly funny.
Now we have our bits assorted for the back wall, we can begin assembling them. And it's now time for the bricklaying, which took many hours. But thanks to editing magic, we can condense all of this time into just mere seconds. And for my own sanity, I wish I had made the bricks bigger, but I'd already come this far and turning back and making more seemed like a lot more work at the time, but realistically probably would have saved time. The more you know. With the back wall bricked up, I can add some textures and scraping to the stair wall with some foil. Then we can glue the staircase on, give it a cute little door to sit in the corner. And then the building that sticks out towards the front with the balcony needs some TLC. And by TLC, of course, I mean tough London criminals.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Now to glue our little extremities on. And time for bricklaying take 2. And that's enough of that. It's time for the side wall. Same as before, we'll get our little bits and bobs stuck on. And then for the final time of the day, it's bricklaying part 3. I made these bricks bigger than the other ones for one of 2 reasons. You can decide which one. Either it looks interesting to have varying stone design, or that it's easier and it's faster and I'm just lazy. For the iron gate, I'll lay out some larger bricks I have in an arching fashion to make an arch.
There's no form more graceful than the arch, no object more whimsical than the balloon.
And voila, another wall.
I birthed her.
Now to goop it up, we taste the forbidden milkshake once again of Mod Podge and black paint, and we just slap that goop all over the build, and the black paint will prime the entire thing, and the Mod Podge will help seal and protect the foam from the layers of paint. And now that we have the whole thing coated in black, we can begin painting the bricks. So normally what I do is I just do a big grey application over the whole thing and then add accentuated pops of varying colours. But for this time, I want to be a bit more precise with it, which really depresses me to say right now because I know what's coming later. But aside from vague foreshadowing, I'm painting all the bricks in varying colours of brown, beiges, sandy tones and greys. The more variation we get, the more interesting it will be. Then for the brick arch, I mix some red and brown tones together to kind of get this bricky terracotta tone, which will be lovely for our gate arch.
Indication!
Then some basic grey for the stairs, and we have our stone done. So for the wood, I can give a base of dark brown, and then go over it with progressively lighter brown tones for highlighting. Then once I'm happy with that, I can tie everything together and add that lovely dark contrast and shading over everything with a big healthy dollop of black wash. Once the black wash has dried, we can go back over it with some dry brushing with lighter grey and whites to get those highlights back in and make it look proper stony. Onto the window frames, we'll add some white paint to them and make them stand out a bit against the dark brick. And then add some iron metallic paint to the bars. And cool, that's the walls done. Now for the base. I'm going to cover the whole floor with some earth texture. And then once that's dried, we can add some static grass over it. And here I have a mix of 3 different tones, so I'm going to start off with the lushest green and then add in different patches of the deader looking grass on top for a bit of variation. And there we have our grassy base. Now just time to assemble it. Awesome, that's looking pretty cool. Just one little extra bit, I need to make the main bars for the gate. So I have this kebab skewer and I'll just cut it into 5 smaller skewers. And then paint them in with my iron metallic colour again, and then just start popping them in place into the gate. Now for the main dude, the bastard Capra Demon. So I've 3D printed this little dude and the file is from the STL Smith, so I'll leave a link in the description, so if you want to print your own one of these, you know where to find it. But not only do I have the demon, I've also printed the worst things to ever exist. The undead dogs. 2 of them, in fact. So let's just shake some black primer onto them and we'll begin by painting the body. Starting off with a muted greyish brown tone. Then some bone tone for his skull. Bone! A neutral brown will go on the skirt thing that's around the waist. And then some dull grey tones for the horns, and then some more bone tone for the tail. Bone! The cleavers will get some iron metallic basing before we move on to highlighting the body. I'll begin highlighting by taking the original colour, mixing in some white and just target the raised areas where light will hit the most to give us that nice brighter area. Add some more white into the mix and target the points within those highlight areas to build up even brighter tones onto it. The same goes for the brown tones on the skirt. And then it's a case of going back over and blending those tones a bit more and adding shadows into the more recessed areas. Some Seraphim Sepia over the skull will give a bit of aging and shading to the bone tone. And then I'll go over and give some shading to the skirt as well. Then for some weathering and aging to the cleavers, I'll add in some varying tones of browns and green to it for a bit of rustiness. Then it's back to the skull for some final highlighting with brighter bone tones. Then we can paint those eyes in white, which we can colour in a bit later. Then a bit of shading to the horns, and then we can give some demonic redness to those eyes, and then with a whip crack of his whippy tail, the demon was done. Now for the bastard dogs. I'm going to paint them with some dark brown, then just add in some specks of pink fleshy tones, followed by a couple dabs of burgundy and reds for that kind of ruined, fleshy, burnt kind of feel. Then paint those gnarly gnashes in with some bone tone, and then coat it with some Agrax Earthshade for that added glossy, grimy shading. And then we'll just finish it off with a dabbing of coagulated blood. And we've got 1 dog, but we need 2. Now, remember earlier when I said I want to be a bit more precise with it, which really depresses me to say right now because I know what's coming later. Well, yeah. So, I gotta be honest, I really wish I didn't do this next step. So I was really happy with how all the bricks were looking and how I designed the walls, you know, making the individual bricks rather than just scoring designs into the foam, because I wanted to have that sort of authentic, nice, realistic look, and painting them all individual colours so I sort of get that awesome natural variation. I was really happy with it, and maybe a bit too happy with it. So I must have thought to myself, hey, this is going too well. Why don't I just fuck it up for myself just a bit? And that's what I did. So yeah, I basically wanted to add grouting to the walls to make them look even more realistic. You know, that's not too much of a bad idea. But it didn't pay off. I saw this technique somewhere online and I decided to give it a go, starting off by putting plaster powder down over the walls and brushing off any powder that was left on the sort of top parts of the bricks. And at this point, it wasn't looking too bad, to be honest. And then just a spritz of isopropyl alcohol over the top to sort of seep in before adding watered down PVA glue to help set it. But what it kind of ended up doing was it kind of did just coat all the bricks, and that kind of plaster white powder just sort of made all the tones kind of blend together into one sort of dull grey colour. Basically just essentially undoing all the painting that I did.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
But hey, if you fuck something up, you can always just flock it. So that's what I'll do. I'll cover my shame in some flocking. So we'll turn it from a grey sludge into a sort of overgrown green sludge instead, and just sort of give us a lot of greenery to help make it look more interesting now. So with a mix of green flock powder and PVA glue, I'll just slap on some of this mossy looking stuff, and then just start sprinkling on some more flocking powder on top, and then just adding different sizings of foliage clumps around to build up more greenery. You know that thing where you shouldn't shop when you're hungry because you'll always buy too much food? I think the same kind of applies here too. You should never flock when you're angry. But anyway, we've now successfully covered my shame, and now we can make some happy little trees. So with an empty box of Sunday Funday cereal, I'll lay out my airbrush painting station. So just grab some seafoam trees that I have in this box and paint them a nice dark brown colour. Then after applying some spray adhesive to the tops of the trees, I can just start dipping them into some clump foliage to create nice little green leaves for the trees. Lovely. And with that done, we can pop our trees into place with some hot glue, and finally add in our demon with the two little dogs, and we can call ourselves done, and we can move on to the glamour shots. So a big shout out and a huge thank you to my wonderful patrons who help this channel be what it is, and whatever that is up to you. Hydra Queen, Michael, Steone, Stephen Irving Stevie, Tanagrind, David Nebeker, Hannah Ferguson, JL, Lord of Iron, Not Amber's Boyfriend, Potatoes, Peter Sakuno, Tony Zhang, Ricky Wilbur, Levi Enzel, and Rapid Berserker. If you did enjoy today's episode, please help me appeal the algorithmic gods above by slapping that like button, hitting subscribe if you haven't already, and drop me a comment below. And remember, if you start doubting, don't start grouting. See you next time.